Learn English through story. The Forbidden Kiss of Passion. In the quiet town of Marlow, hidden among hills and valleys, there was an age-old saying that echoed in hushed voices, "Beware of the forbidden kiss of passion." Everyone knew the phrase, though few could recall its origins. The story was shrouded in mystery and cautionary tales, repeated by mothers and grandmothers, though the younger generation often dismissed it as an old wives' tale. But in a town as steeped in tradition and secrecy as Marlow, nothing was ever as simple as it seemed. Marlow was a place of habit. People rose at dawn, opened shops, and attended evening gatherings, and though there was no lack of warmth or camaraderie among neighbors, everyone instinctively kept their emotions closely guarded. Passion, particularly romantic passion, was whispered about rather than flaunted. Love was to be simple, steady, and pragmatic, leading to marriages forged more from practicality than desire. The town cherished stability, and passion was considered a dangerous, unpredictable force, best kept at bay. This was how Rachel grew up, sheltered within the boundaries of Marlow's traditions. A quiet, intelligent woman, Rachel was the daughter of a respected shopkeeper, whose stoic demeanor she had inherited. Her life was a pattern of repetition, working in her father's shop, tending to household chores, and attending the town's gatherings, where suitable young men occasionally courted her with polite gestures. None of them sparked anything beyond a mild interest. This was fine, Rachel told herself. This was the way life was meant to be. She would marry a respectable man, raise a family, and her life would quietly fade into the fabric of Marlow, just as her mother's had. But everything changed the summer that Michael arrived in town. Michael was an outsider, a stranger who carried with him the air of distant places and experiences. He was visiting Marlow to settle the estate of his late aunt, a woman whom the townsfolk rarely mentioned. Rachel first noticed him at the town square, standing alone with a journal in hand, observing the world with an intensity she had never seen before. Something about his gaze made her heart skip a strange sensation that left her confused and intrigued. In Marlow, curiosity was considered a gateway to ruin, and Rachel knew better than to indulge in it. But despite her best efforts, she found herself drawn to Michael, fascinated by his quiet but powerful presence. He wasn't overtly charming. In fact, he was rather reserved, speaking only when spoken to and rarely venturing beyond polite conversation. Yet, there was an underlying intensity to his manner, a depth in his eyes that seemed to beckon her. They first spoke one rainy afternoon when he came into her father's shop. The conversation was unremarkable, centered around trivial matters. He needed provisions for his stay, and she dutifully assisted him. Yet, in those brief moments, an inexplicable bond formed, something that neither could name but both felt. She noticed how his fingers lingered ever so slightly when he handed her the coins, and how he glanced at her with a look that sent a shiver down her spine. It was only a glance, but in that glance lay an unspoken promise, a warning, and a thrill all at once. As days turned into weeks, they began meeting by chance at the market, by the riverbank, or on quiet walks along the countryside paths. Each meeting was brief, constrained by the unspoken rules of propriety, yet charged with an undercurrent of longing. She never spoke of these encounters to anyone, not even her closest friend, for she knew that her feelings were perilous, and her actions even more so. The town's unyielding traditions had taught her that desire, once awakened, was like a fire that could consume everything in its path. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, they met by the old stone bridge that overlooked the river. The bridge was a place known to lovers, but also a place steeped in myth. According to local legend, It was there that the forbidden kiss of passion was exchanged for the first and last time between two souls who were never meant to be together. The story went that the lovers, unable to bear the weight of their forbidden desire, had vanished into the mist, leaving nothing but whispers of their passion behind. Rachel hadn't planned to meet Michael that evening, yet she found herself drawn to the bridge, as if compelled by a force she couldn't understand. And there he was, standing alone, looking out over the water. She hesitated, knowing that this encounter could shatter her carefully constructed world. But in that moment, the pull was stronger than her fear. Michael turned to her, his eyes reflecting both the sadness of farewell and the intensity of longing. They stood in silence, a heartbeat away from each other, with nothing but the murmuring river between them. Words were unnecessary. They both knew that this was a crossroads, a point of no return. "I shouldn't be here," Rachel whispered, more to herself than to him. "And yet, here we are," Michael replied softly, his voice like a caress. The space between them seemed to collapse, and before she knew it, he was leaning towards her, his face inches from hers. She closed her eyes, surrendering to the moment, to the forbidden kiss that had haunted her dreams since the day she met him. Their lips met, soft and tentative at first, then deepening as the pent-up desire they had both denied for so long broke free. The kiss was everything and nothing, a fleeting moment of bliss that held within it the weight of 1,000 lifetimes. It was as if they had known each other in another world, another time, and were bound by a promise that transcended this life. But even in their passion, a sliver of sorrow lingered, for they knew that this kiss was as dangerous as it was beautiful. When they finally broke apart, Rachel felt as if her entire being had been transformed. But reality, harsh and unyielding, soon seeped back in. She realized with a sinking heart that the world she lived in, the town of Marlow, with its traditions and its whispers, still would never accept their love. The kiss had awakened something within her, but it had also marked her, branding her with the knowledge that she could never return to the life she once knew. From that night on, they could no longer hide their connection. People noticed the way she looked at him, the way he lingered outside her father's shop a little too long. Rumors began to spread, whispers that tarnished her reputation and cast her as a woman of dangerous desires. Her father confronted her, demanding that she end whatever it was she shared with Michael, warning her of the disgrace she was bringing upon their family. But the kiss had changed Rachel. She could no longer deny the depth of her feelings, nor could she retreat to the empty life she once found comfort in. The love she shared with Michael was a fire that both sustained and consumed her. And so, she made the fateful decision to leave Marlow, to follow Michael wherever he would take her, even if it meant abandoning everything she had ever known. On the night they planned to leave, Rachel waited by the bridge, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and exhilaration. The town lay quiet under a blanket of mist, as if holding its breath, awaiting the inevitable. But as the hours passed, Michael never arrived. She waited until dawn, her heart breaking with each passing moment, until finally, she realized he was not coming. In the days that followed, she learned that Michael had left Marlow in the dead of night, leaving behind nothing but an empty house and a letter addressed to her. In the letter, he confessed his love but also his fear of what their relationship would bring upon her. He couldn't bear the thought of her losing everything for his sake, and so, he had chosen to leave, hoping that, in time, she would understand. Rachel was devastated. She had tasted a love so profound, so passionate, that returning to the life she once knew was impossible. She became a ghost of herself, drifting through her days, Haunted by the memory of that forbidden kiss, the town watched her with a mixture of pity and disdain, a woman marked by desire, who had dared to defy the rules of Marlowe and paid the price. Years passed, and Rachel remained in Marlowe, never marrying, never loving again. She carried the memory of Michael and their forbidden kiss like a wound that would never heal, a reminder of the price she had paid for a moment of passion. In time, the townspeople forgot about her scandal, but she never forgot the man who had awakened her heart, only to leave it shattered. On her final night, as she lay alone in her bed, Rachel felt the familiar ache of longing, the bittersweet memory of the life she had almost lived. And in her final breath, she whispered his name, letting the memory of that forbidden kiss carry her into the unknown. After her passing, the legend of Rachel and Michael became part of Marlowe's folklore. They spoke of a woman who had defied the town's traditions for love and paid a tragic price. And so, the warning continued, beware of the forbidden kiss of passion, for in Marlowe, love was a luxury few could afford, and passion was a fire that could consume even the purest of hearts. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you enjoyed, then please like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.